more critically again. And like I keep saying, let there be dialogue, let there be patience, let's talk. Okay, let's
All
get to the
right.
table to talk.
All right, I hear you, but the question still remains: do you think the government is being fair by just naming it a political agenda? Is that not kind of diffusing the importance or the sufferings Nigerians are going through? And just for the record, we would like to know where you are joining us from.
Well, I'm joining you. I'm not in the country, but I'll not tell you where I'm joining you from.
All right. So the question is, do you think it's fair that the government is just name tagging it a political agenda rather than facing up to the reality that Nigerians are truly suffering?
Well, if you remember what I said earlier, I said the government should do something tangible. One thing, maybe reduce fuel prices or do something to get the people back or to get the people off the streets. The government has to look at the reality of what people are crying for and do one thing or two things to get at the people, to alleviate the sufferings of the people. I will not say that the government is right to just tackle the political agenda. I think we can go further and look at the issues and see how those issues can be handled and handled as soon as possible.
All right, let's look at, we're having protests not just in Nigeria, in the UK currently, there's a protest going on because of the killing of three young girls. And the UK government have responded. And their response is quite different from what we got from Mr. President. And in the president's speech, he called for suspension of the protest. But some part of the country, the protesters are saying they didn't hear what they wanted to hear from Mr. President, and so they are not really convinced the president and the government means well. What do you think about the trust between the federal government and the people?
The distrust has been there from the beginning, even before the protest. So, to me, whatever the president even says, the people may not take it positively. But I think he has explained the program they have lay out and what that program and that interventions is going to bring about in the country. And I think we need to look at that. But like I keep saying, I've said it before, that the government can do some pragmatic things. One definite thing, maybe get
All right.
fuel back, at least for some months. Let the
All
fuel
right,
maybe price.
I would like you to hold on. We'll go for a very quick break and pay some bills, and you rejoin us in the next 3 minutes. We'll continue with the discourse after this quick break. Stay with us.
All right. Thank you.
Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians, we are the Canaan, because
that this country gets it right.
who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians.
we not
We are
say
the
that of them?
Canaan because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on.
Frankly speaking, it is now time for Nigeria to see that Global TV has come and has come to stay.
Just 1 year. This is a plus for Global Television.
My take on Global TV.
All right, we're still looking at X-raying the president's speech as regards the ongoing protests going on in the country, even with the president calling for it to halt, saying the government is doing everything needed to ensure that the lives of Nigerians get better. The president did raise some very salient issues, and also he did warn about the Igbo must leave cause in Lagos State. Said the government would not tolerate any form of ethnic bigotry playing out, and saying that our democracy progresses when the constitutional rights of every Nigerian are respected and protected, saying our law enforcement agencies should continue to ensure the full protection of lives and properties of innocent citizens in response in any matter. So we'll be looking at how key that is. He also did say that his vision for the country is the one of a just and prosperous nation, which where each person may enjoy the peace, freedom, and meaningful livelihood that only democratic good governance can provide, one that is open, transparent, and accountable to the Nigerian people. So we'll be looking at how important those words are from Mr. President during his speech. Also, not forgetting the fact that he did say for decades that the economy has remained anemic and taking a dip because of the many misalignment that have stunted the growth of the country. Just over a year ago, he did say the country was at a point where it could not afford to continue the use of temporary solutions to solve issues. They're focusing on the issue of removal of subsidy, where the president seemed to continue to insist that the removal of subsidy was something that had to be done for the greater good of the country over time, because that was one of the key issues being raised by the protesters, the fact that subsidy removal should be restored back, and that's one of the key issues Mr. President did also raise in the issue of restoration, in terms of refusal to restore the subsidy removal. He also did mention the fact that because of that subsidy removal, Nigeria had saved 9.1 trillion naira, and that has doubled the country's resources. In the past 14 months, he said the government has made significant strides in rebuilding the foundation of the economy to carry the nation into the future of plenty, of abundance. And on the physical side, he said the aggregate government revenues have more than doubled, hitting over 9.1 trillion naira in the first half of 2024 compared to the first half of 2023, due to the efforts at blocking leakages and introducing automation and mobilizing funding creatively without additional burden on the people. And those are some of the key things the president did highlight during his talk to the nation, especially the protesters. All right, let's go for another quick break. When we return, all right, I think we've been joined back by Archbishop John Praise Daniel, who is looking at. All right, nice to have you rejoin us. Let's look at other issues raised by Mr. President, where he claims that the issue. He raised the issue of that his government would not tolerate any form of ethnic bigotry. We heard the situation in Lagos State, where during the protest, amidst the protest, there were calls for the Igbos to leave Lagos State. How important was Mr. President's take on that matter, saying that it will not be tolerated?
Very, very important, because we are a nation and we are together, and there should be no ethnic bigotry. Asking the Igbos to leave Lagos is like asking every other tribe from any part of the country where they are to leave. We are one Nigeria, and we must honor and respect our diversity, and that God has put us in this nation, whether you are Yoruba, Hausa, or Igbo, or TV, or Jikun, or you, whatever tribe you may be, you know, and you are from Benin, you are from Bayelsa, wherever you are from, you should be able to feel free to live in any part of this country. So I think it is very, very appropriate for the president to have made that call that we should all unite and stop this tribal bigotry. Igbos are free to live in Lagos, just as they are free to live in Abuja or to live in any other part of the country. And just as any other tribe in this country, not only the Igbos, can stay anywhere they choose to stay in Nigeria.
The president giving kudos to the law enforcement agencies, saying they should continue to ensure the full protection of lives and properties of innocent citizens in response in any manner. Some have said that seemed to be a license to kill or to play to the gallery to the security agencies, because we did see videos where there was an armored tank which was spraying water at protesters, crushed a fellow security agent because the security persons played to the gallery, not being careful, thinking it was a protester, and just simply crushed that security agent. And we heard of killings of some protesters. Is that not a license to kill?
No, I don't think so. The primary purpose of government is the security of lives and property. And I think, Mr. President, it's appropriate to give a stern instruction to the security operatives to ensure that every life is safe. And so those who are protesting are supposed to stay within the boundary of their peaceful protest. But when they cross the boundary, I'm sorry, you need to also know that the security operatives, the police, the soldiers, they are also human beings. When their lives are threatened also, it becomes a problem. So I think it is just okay to pass that instruction that security should be maintained, because the primary purpose of government is the security of lives and property.
Another key issue the president did raise, he said he is not regretting the removal of subsidy. In fact, from the comments, he seemed to say he's justifying his removal of the subsidy, not agreeing that the timing was wrong. Do you think the government was truly, yes, we know the benefit of removal of subsidy, but the timing and the fact that there was no social safety net put in place to absorb the shock. Do you think the president was fair enough in that analysis?
Well, I'm not too sure. I will not support that stand because I personally felt that the president needed to come into office, settle down first before removing the subsidy. But again, you may not have to blame him too much because of the rot that has been in the oil industry and the mist, was it, the mystery or whatever that has been behind the issue of fuel subsidy, and you are not really sure what is going on there. Maybe that informed him to take that decision. But I thought it should have entered in first, and let's celebrate the new president, and then give it time before he looks at the issues, and then he can go ahead to remove the subsidy. But if he so did, well, what can we say? It's been removed, but what can they do to cushion the effect of the removal? Because everything about prices going up is pegged on that. Because when prices of goods and services, go up, it's because of the transportation, and almost everything is a hinge on fuel and on diesel in this country. People run their small businesses on generators. People don't have NEPA or light. They use generators, they use fuel. And people, when there's no light, they use diesel to run their generators. So everything is, pegged on that. So I think there's something that the government needs to do. And please, I also want to plead that they need to make sure that our refineries are beginning to work. Let the refineries work. And if refineries are permitted to work or allowed to work or put in place, probably a lot of these high cost of fuel and diesel will be reduced.
Looking at the issue, the government did say that with that removal, recently Nigeria's reserves has hit 9.1 trillion naira in the first half of 2024 compared to the first half of 2023 due to the efforts at blocking leakages and introducing automation and mobilizing funds creatively. Do you agree with Mr. President when he says that, especially when we see the quantum of loans from World Bank, IMF, is he being economical with the truth?
Well, he's my president, and I want to believe that whatever he says is the truth. I will not doubt him. But what I want to say is, if we have received about 9.1
we see the loans every day, Nigeria is borrowing X amounts from the World Bank, so we don't necessarily, it's in white and black.
Well, if we have the 9.1 trillion, then probably that should reduce the amount of borrowing. Then secondly, if we have 9.1 trillion, then it should translate into the common man feeling the effect of this in the economy. And not just the politicians, making big and buying houses every day and living big. I think the common man should be able to feel the effect of whatever gain that they have been made,
Okay, let's look at, because this is one of the key issues the protesters did raise, that there's need for the government to reverse the subsidy removal. Now the government is saying they're not going to reverse it. And we still hear reports as of a few hours before I came to the live studio, we still see pictures of and videos of violence in some parts of the country, in Kaduna and some other states. Do you think the fact that the government have refused to reverse some of these policies, this protest is likely to continue?
Well, I think that's where the government should be able to look at and to be able to sit down and look at things critically. The government can reverse it and they will still say something. Human beings are human beings. You cannot really please them. But okay, let the government do something. If they don't want to reverse it, but what can they do to cause the effect of poverty to be gone out of the land and for people to have the effect and to feel the impact of governance? And that's my own. Okay, if you say you are not going to reverse the spoil subsidy, what can you do that the common man out there will feel the effect of your governance? So I think that's very important. And we keep reiterating the fact that there is hunger in the land. People are suffering. People don't have food to eat. What can you do permanently or in the temporary measure ensure that people are able to go to market and they are able to eat food? Yes, the minimum wage is 70,000, but even the 70,000, the prices prices in the market have doubled. That 70,000 cannot even do anything for the civil servant out there. So what can the government do? So if it is restoring back the fuel subsidy that can stabilize it, okay, do it for the sake of the peace and for the sake of the country. And that those money that we are having as a gain probably can be put back to subsidize for the common man. Some basic things some basic amenities that will make, us feel the impact of government.
You did make mention of the fact that as we extract the president's speech, that this protest seemed to be very volatile in the northern region, and we know that that's your extraction. Do you think clergymen, the traditional rulers, have done enough? We saw the Sultan of Sokoto, Sa'ad Abubakar III, come out to tell us at a point that the suffering was becoming unbearable and they did not know how to talk to their subjects anymore as to keep it calm.
Well, that's the truth. The suffering is unbearable. Everybody is feeling it, But then we cannot also I cannot ask my people to go to the streets because, first of all, their lives are important. I'm a shepherd. I need to be sure that they are saved. And because the protest has been infiltrated, I'll definitely ask that my people stay indoor. And I think there's one protest we can do. It's what I call the spiritual protest, crying to God and praying to God for a solution. Okay? And yes, there is suffering, it is unbearable, but what can we do? But we keep asking God to intervene and to ask the government to bring out some projects, projects, or bring out some things, roll out some programs that just like the island, they have said every woman should go and register and receive 65,000, But then, okay, if every woman receives 65,000 for their small scale businesses, that's fine. But how long can that last? So I think we need to look at tangible programs, tangible projects that will definitely make the effect of what that is going on to be felt by the people and by the common man out there on the street.
All right, I wanted to just get your take as regards for the clergymen and traditional rulers. Do you think they've played enough role in helping shape where we are today?
Well, I think the best way we can do that is to keep preaching the truth, establishing righteousness in the hearts of people. I don't believe that I will be one of those clergymen that will ask people to go to the streets, but I think we've done our part. I belong to NARI with the Sultan and the Khan president.
Clergymen and traditional rulers have been accused of not speaking truth to power. How true is this?
Well, I'm not a traditional ruler, but the few times I've met with some meetings, to a great extent, I think they have. But you see, the problem is that the people out there keep accusing everybody. They say religious and traditional rulers collect money from government, and that's why they are not speaking. But that's not the truth. That's not the truth. So everybody is pointing accusing finger to everybody. And at the end of the day, truth is not spoken. So I think we have spoken. The Khan president wrote when these protests were about to start and gave a compendium of what it is and said, yes, we are standing with the common man out there. For the Nigerian citizens and their suffering, we understand what they are doing. But let's be cautious of these protests that could be hijacked. And we see that that was like a prophecy. It has been hijacked. So religious leaders are speaking. But whether the people are hearing is another thing. As a matter of fact, the religious leaders are being attacked also, by the protesters. So there is no truth in any of these things again. One lady in part of Abuja went out, is it Abuja or somewhere, went to protest. By the time she came back, her whole house was looted. Where do we go with that? So I think we need to understand that we keep speaking truth to power. I mean, I've always made press conferences, spoke on occasions when I have to speak, and we say the truth. I mean, and tell the government just what it is, how it is, because we are with the people and we know what the people feel, and we see them every day. So the government have to listen to us. And I would think as that the government once in a while can invite, well, the last time I think they had some traditional rulers with them, but I'm not sure they invited any religious leaders to dialogue. When maybe they did, I'm not aware, okay? Or if they did on the Muslim side, I'm not aware. If they did on the Christian side, I didn't know about it. But I think there should be more dialogue, and the government should be ready to listen to the counsel and advice of both religious leaders and traditional rulers.
All right, as we wrap up, one of the key demands of as of today of the protesters the leaders is that over 1,000 protesters that have been arrested across the country should be released. Do you think the government will be willing to do that, and how key would that be in helping this protest come to a gradual end or a final end?
Well, I'm not sure if their release will be what will bring the protest to an end. But you see, what I'm saying is that if those arrested was because of criminality, then they need to face the law. Okay, they need to face the law. But if not, if they're just arrested just because they were on the streets, then no. But if they are found looting, destroying, and doing things that should not be done, then I think they should face the music.
Right, on the final note, before we let you go, what will be your final word of advice to the president and the protesters that are still out there on the streets, not heeding the directive or the plea of Mr. President for everything to come to a halt? And for security agencies, do you think they have a role to play to also ensure that we have no more loss of lives?
Well, I want to thank Mr. President and for the speech, but more so, there comes practicality on that which has to be done, and to make every effort to see that the programs that have been rolled out are followed up. One thing people don't understand is that the president is one man and he cannot be everywhere. So I ask governors who have received a lot of subventions and other parastatals, ministers and all that, to ensure that everything that the president has released get to the grassroots. I think when that is done and people can feel the government, they'll definitely retrieve back and the protest will stop. So the president has a lot to do, but please, those that are working with him can ensure that most of the things that are being done are done and done very well. And then for me, for the protesters, I will still ask for patience, I will still ask for dialogue, and I will still ask that we shield our sword and return back to discussions on the table and see what can be done to bring this protest to an end. And also ask government to do all they can to ensure that everybody is having a feel of what government can do, the suffering in the land, the hunger in the land, and to ensure that even if it means do price control or fill up the markets with food items and to be sold at government prices and all of that, I think it will go a long way. We'll get a long way. But all I ask is patience. All I ask is dialogue with everyone. And I ask for the security operatives, I ask them to have understanding and to have restraint. Not just shooting people on the streets, let there be restraint. I'm sure I've been told that usually security will do that when they start shooting, is when their lives are also at risk. Sometimes they do that in defense of themselves instead of dying. But whatever it is, let there be restraint, let there be understanding, and this country belongs. If we destroy it, we have nowhere to go to. So please, let's watch it. Let's not destroy Nigeria. Let's not burn Nigeria down. Let's not. This is our country, and whether we like it or not, God has put us as Nigerians, or must make sure Nigeria works.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to Archbishop John Praise Daniel, who is the National Deputy President of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, for joining us on the program, The Desk, as we extrade Mr. President's speech to the protesters and calling for the protests to be halted, and also reeling out actions by the government to ensure that the country, the tough life we are living, comes to an end. Thank you very much for joining us. And this is where we will be calling it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right.